Picture this. You're staring at the screen. Red candles, green candles, numbers flashing faster than your mind can process. You're not just looking at a chart, you're looking at your future. Your palms are sweaty, your heartbeat rises, and in that moment you feel the rush of possibility. You tell yourself, this time is different. This time I've done the work. I've studied the setups, I've read the books, I've watched the webinars, I've practiced the risk management. This time I know what I'm doing. And yet 10 minutes later, you're out of the trade. Maybe you cut for a small loss. Maybe you broke your own rules, doubled down in desperation, and now you're staring at a red hole in your account. And as the adrenaline wears off, the sickening question hits you. Why does this keep happening to me? Here's the truth no one likes to admit. It's not your strategy that's broken. It's not your charts, your indicators, or even your broker. It's something deeper. It's something Wall Street has known for decades. The real market isn't just about numbers. It's about psychology. And right now, the single biggest psychological trick being played on you is the illusion of control. Think back to the first time you placed a trade. That click, buy or sell, felt powerful. It was intoxicating. One decision and you've set money in motion. You're not a bystander anymore. You're a participant in the financial arena. But that feeling of power, that sense that you're in control, is a lie. It's the greatest illusion in trading. Wall Street wants you to believe you're in control. That your charts, your strategies, your indicators all give you the upper hand. But the truth is, the market is engineered to make you feel empowered, right before it pulls the rug out from under you. When you click buy, you believe you're acting on logic. A pattern you've recognized, a probability you've calculated, an edge you've prepared for. But beneath the surface, your brain is running on biases. Confirmation bias makes you hunt for reasons that justify the trade you already want to take. Illusion of knowledge tricks you into believing that more indicators equal more certainty, when really it's just noise. Control bias convinces you that the act of doing something means you're influencing the outcome, even when you're not. And Wall Street knows this. Brokers know you'll overtrade when you think you've got control. Institutions know you'll chase every flicker of opportunity. Algorithms are literally built to exploit this illusion. They flash signals, pump price moves, and dangle bait in front of your eyes until you can't resist clicking. You're not controlling the market. The market is controlling you. Let me paint the picture. It's Monday morning. A stock you've been watching has gapped up in pre-market. You've drawn your lines, you've set your levels, and you tell yourself, I'll wait for confirmation. The opening bell rings. The stock surges, green candle after green candle. Your discipline wavers. It's extended, you think. I'll wait. Then a pullback. A red candle appears. This feels like the perfect entry. You hit buy. Seconds later, the stock drops further. Your unrealized loss flashes on the screen. Panic sets in. You cut the trade. And then, as if mocking you, the stock reverses and rockets higher without you. Sound familiar? That isn't bad luck. That's design. That's the illusion of control at work. So why does Wall Street need you to believe it? Because if traders truly accepted they weren't in control, most of them would quit. And Wall Street doesn't want you to quit. They need you in the game. Clicking, trading, paying spreads, paying commissions, feeding the machine. The market doesn't thrive on your success. The market thrives on your activity. And the easiest way to keep you active is to give you just enough taste of control to keep you hooked. You win a few trades, you think you've mastered it. You lose a few trades, you think you just need one more tweak. You're stuck in a cycle, believing you're so close to the breakthrough. Just one more adjustment, one more attempt, one more trade. The casino works the same way. Win a hand, you think you're a genius. Lose a hand, you think you're unlucky. Both keep you at the table. And the longer you sit, the more the casino wins. The market isn't much different. But here's the hack, buried inside this ugly truth. Control doesn't come from the market, it comes from you. You can't control the outcome of a single trade. You don't decide whether the next candle's red or green. But you can control your position size. You can control your risk tolerance. You can control your patience. You can control your ability to step aside. The illusion fades when you stop trying to control the uncontrollable and start mastering the things that are actually yours. And once you see the trick for what it is, it loses its power. This is the first layer of the psychology hack Wall Street doesn't want you to know. They need you believing in the illusion. Because once you stop believing, you start pulling their game apart piece by piece. But the illusion of control is just a bait. The real trap closes when fear and greed sink their teeth into you. And that's where we're headed next. If the illusion of control is the bait, then fear and greed are the jaws of the trap. And they don't just snap shut on beginners. They snap shut on almost everyone at some point in their journey. These are not weak emotions. These are not little flaws you can brush aside. They are the two most powerful emotional forces in the market. And unless you know how to face them, they will own you. Think about what fear really is. Fear is survival. Thousands of years ago, fear is what kept your ancestors alive. Fear of the dark. Fear of predators. Fear of being thrown out of the tribe. Fear is why you are alive to trade today. It is a primal, hardwired alarm system designed to stop you from doing dangerous things. But the problem is, the market hijacks that same system. You take a trade. The setup looked good, but immediately a red candle prints. You're down $50. Then 100, then 200. That primal fear system lights up. What if this keeps going? What if I blow up my account? What if I lose everything? Your rational brain knows it's just one trade within your risk. But fear doesn't care. Your palms sweat, your heart pounds, you cut the trade. And what happens next? The stock reverses. It runs higher without you. You weren't wrong about the setup. You were hijacked by fear. Now flip it. Greed. Greed is the flip side of survival. When your ancestors stumbled on a pile of food, greed made them hoard more than they needed. Tomorrow wasn't guaranteed, so greed kept them alive too. But the market hijacks that as well. You're in a trade. It starts working. You're up $200, $400, $800. The voice in your head starts whispering, don't take profit. Hold longer. This could be the one. This could pay off the car. This could wipe out your debt. This could prove to everyone you finally made it. Suddenly, you're no longer trading a setup. You're trading a fantasy. And while you fantasize, the market reverses. Your unrealized profit shrinks. You freeze, unwilling to cut. Sometimes, you watch it drain back to break even or worse. You weren't wrong about the trade. You were hijacked by greed. Now here's the most vicious part. Fear and greed don't act alone. They act in cycles. You win big, greed takes over, you oversize. You lose, fear takes over, you cut early. You hesitate, frustration fuels more greed. Round and round, the cycle keeps spinning. And the more it spins, the more predictable you become. And predictability is exactly what the market feeds on. I once knew a trader named Alex. Solid strategy, back-tested setups, a real edge. On paper, he should have been profitable. But Alex couldn't break the trap. Monday, he'd win big and feel invincible. Tuesday, he'd double his size. Tuesday would wipe him out. Wednesday, fear ruled him. He cut winners short, skipped valid setups, froze on his keyboard. By Friday, he was drained, broke even at best, and sometimes ended the week red. He wasn't dumb. He wasn't lazy. He wasn't unprepared. He was simply caught in the fear-greed cycle. And here's where it gets uncomfortable. Wall Street thrives on this cycle. The more you overtrade, the more commissions you pay. The more you chase losses, the more liquidity you provide. The more you're emotional, the easier you are to read. Algorithms aren't just crunching numbers, they're designed to trigger human emotions. Sudden spikes, greed bait. Sharp flushes, fear bait. They don't care about your plan, they care about your reaction. This is why traders feel like the market is mocking them. How many times have you cut a trade in fear, only to watch it rip higher right after? How many times have you held too long in greed, only to see the reversal come seconds after? It feels personal. It feels like the market is toying with you. But it isn't personal. It's systematic. The market is designed to trap human emotions, and fear and greed are the two biggest levers. So what's the hack here? It's not to eliminate fear and greed. You can't. They're primal, hardwired into your nervous system. No amount of meditation or affirmations will erase them. The hack is to expect them, plan for them, and use them as signals instead of letting them control you. Think about it. Greed rises when you're holding a winner. What if you treated that as a cue, not to hold longer, but to start scaling out? Fear spikes when you're in a red trade. What if you treated that not as a cue to panic, but as a reminder to check if you're still within your planned risk? Instead of fighting emotions, you reframe them. They become indicators. Not buy or sell signals on a chart, but self-awareness signals in your mind. Another trader I knew named Sophia used this shift to change her career. She wrote down 2 simple rules. When she felt greed rising, she took profit at her first target, no questions asked. When she felt fear spiking, she forced herself to double check her stop instead of exiting early. At first, it felt mechanical, even silly. But slowly, she noticed the difference. Her wins were no longer erased by greed. Her losses were no longer magnified by fear. The emotions never disappeared, but they lost their power to control her actions. That's the hack buried inside the fear-greed trap. You don't have to fight these emotions. You have to learn to interpret them. You have to expect them and treat them as part of the plan. Once you do that, the trap loses its teeth. But here's the twist. Fear and greed don't arise in a vacuum. They're constantly being fed, constantly being triggered by something bigger. And that something is the next layer of Wall Street's game. Because if fear and greed are the trap, then your attention is the bait that keeps you staring long enough to fall into it. We've looked at the illusion of control, and we've exposed the fear-greed trap. Now it's time to shine a light on something even more subtle. Something that most traders never even think about. It isn't just your emotions that work against you. It's your attention. Attention is the real currency of the market. You may think money is the currency, but it isn't. Every trade begins long before dollars move. Every decision starts with a unit of focus. Attention is what powers your choices, fuels your actions, and drains your discipline. If your attention is scattered, your results will be scattered. If your attention is hijacked, so is your trading. And Wall Street knows this. Think about the world we live in right now. Attention is the most valuable commodity on the planet. Social media companies design entire platforms to keep your eyes glued to the screen. They measure everything: where you pause, what makes you click, what makes you scroll faster. They engineer feeds that keep you hooked. Now take that same playbook and put it into the trading world. That's what brokers, algorithms, and institutions have done. Let's break it down. The human brain is wired to pay attention to 4 things: movement, uncertainty, reward, and threat. This isn't opinion, this is neuroscience. For survival, your brain learned to lock onto sudden motion, unpredictable outcomes, the chance of gain, and the risk of danger. Every candlestick chart you look at is feeding those 4 triggers nonstop. A green candle shoots up, that's reward. A red candle crashes down, that's threat. Sideways chop, that's uncertainty. Tick by tick, flash by flash, you're locked in. It's no accident. Platforms, news feeds, and even trading apps are engineered to keep your eyes glued. Think about it. Why do platforms add flashing alerts, bright colors, loud pings? It isn't to help you. It's to keep you hooked. Why do news headlines drop right at key moments? To spark emotion. Why do price spikes and sudden flushes happen at the exact levels you're watching? To yank your focus. This is the attention game, and the longer your attention is trapped, the weaker you become. Because attention isn't infinite, it's energy. Every decision drains a little more. Stare at enough flashing charts and you start to feel it. Mental fatigue sets in. Your discipline crumbles. Suddenly you're clicking buttons you swore you wouldn't click. Suddenly you're chasing moves you know you shouldn't chase. You're not lazy. You're not stupid. You're exhausted. And the market made you that way on purpose. I once knew a trader named Brian. He had 6 monitors. 6. Every ticker he could find was up on his screens. Every alert turned on. Every move tracked. He thought more information meant more control. But by lunchtime, he was drained. By the closing bell, he was sloppy. He was forcing trades, making mistakes, burning capital. Not because his setups were bad, but because his attention was shot. Now compare him to a trader named Sarah. Sarah only watched 2 stocks a day. That's it. She picked them in pre-market, she set her alerts, and then she walked away until her setups appeared. Sarah wasn't the fastest. She wasn't the flashiest, but she conserved her attention like gold. She was sharp at the moment she needed to be sharp, and her results outpaced Brian's 6-monitor chaos by miles. So what's the hack here? The hack is simple, but not easy. Stop scattering your attention. Narrow your focus. Conserve your energy. You don't need to watch every ticker. You don't need to react to every headline. You don't need to sit glued to every tick. Professional traders don't. They behave like snipers. They wait. They conserve bullets. They only act when the target is clear. And here's the deeper truth. Wall Street doesn't want you to realize this, because the longer you sit in front of the screen, the more mistakes you'll make. The more trades you'll take, the more fees you'll pay. If you walked away until only your setups appeared, you'd rob them of easy money. This is why so many retail traders feel like the market is designed to mess with them. They sit for hours staring at every tick. They burn their attention dry, and when the one good setup finally appears, they're too drained to execute it properly. The opportunity was there, but their attention was gone. And it isn't just the market. News feeds play into this game. Social media plays into it. Everywhere you turn, someone is screaming for your attention. The hot stock of the day, the big move you missed, the doom headline, the moon headline. It's all noise. And the noise has one goal: to keep you locked in. But here's the truth. You don't get paid for how much time you spend watching. You get paid for precision. 1 or 2 clean trades can make your day. The rest is distraction. So how do you apply this? Start by stripping away the excess. Turn off unnecessary alerts. Reduce your screen count. Pick a handful of setups or tickers, and create rules for yourself about when to walk away. Give yourself permission not to stare all day. The first few times you try this, it will feel uncomfortable. You'll feel like you're missing out. You'll feel like you're not working hard enough. But then, slowly, you'll notice your mind is sharper. Your patience is stronger. Your execution is cleaner. You'll realize that attention is your most valuable resource, and conserving it is a real edge. This is the attention game, and once you see it, you can't unsee it. The market is less about predicting moves and more about controlling focus. Because when you control your attention, you control your emotions. When you control your emotions, you control your decisions. And when you control your decisions, the market can no longer control you. The illusion of control was the bait. Fear and greed were the trap. Attention was the leash keeping you tied down. Now you see how deep the manipulation goes. But all of it builds to one central pivot point. One shift that flips the game upside down. The hack itself. We've peeled back the layers one by one. First came the illusion of control, convincing you that every click made you the master of the market. Then came the fear-greed trap, pulling you into cycles of overconfidence and panic. After that, we exposed the attention game, showing how your very focus is hijacked and drained until you're too weak to trade properly. Each of these forces works together like gears in a machine. They keep traders stuck, spinning in place, never breaking free. And yet, there is a way out. A simple shift that feels so counterintuitive most people never believe it. But once you see it, it changes everything. The hack is this: detach from outcomes and anchor yourself to process. It sounds simple, but don't let that fool you. It's one of the hardest mental shifts you'll ever make, and it's also the most liberating. Let's talk about why this matters. Every trader who's stuck is stuck because they're focused on outcomes. They measure success by whether a trade wins or loses. They measure their worth by whether they hit a profit target. They measure progress by the size of their account. And the problem with this is obvious. Outcomes are uncontrollable. You can't decide if the market goes up or down after you enter. You can't decide if a news headline will break. You can't decide if an algorithm sweeps your stop. Outcomes are beyond your power. So the more you cling to them, the more power you hand to the market. And the more you measure yourself by outcomes, the more emotional you become. A win makes you greedy. A loss makes you fearful. And the cycle continues. But process is yours. That is where real control lives. Did you size correctly? Did you stick to your risk? Did you wait for your setup? Did you respect your max trades? Did you exit according to your plan? These are questions you can answer yes or no, and they are always under your control. Here's the paradox. The more you detach from outcomes and focus only on process, the better your outcomes become. Because process builds consistency, and consistency compounds. Let me tell you about a trader named Daniel. For years, he blew up accounts. He had strategies that worked in backtests, but live trading always broke him. His problem wasn't knowledge. His problem was attachment. Every trade had to work. Every loss meant failure. Every win meant hope. He lived and died by outcomes. One day, a mentor told him, "Daniel, stop measuring yourself in dollars. Start measuring yourself in check marks." Daniel created a checklist: risk defined, setup valid, entry confirmed, stop placed, exit rule set. After each trade, he graded himself only on whether he followed the checklist. At first, nothing changed. His results were still bumpy. But slowly, he felt different. A losing trade no longer crushed him because he had followed the process. A winning trade no longer made him reckless because it was just another check mark. He stopped spiraling. He stopped chasing. His discipline grew. And as the months went by, his results started to shift. His equity curve, once wild and jagged, began to smooth and climb. Same setups, same trader, but with one shift: process over outcome. That's the hack. Stop attaching your worth to things you cannot control. Anchor yourself in what you can. Now let's dig deeper. Why does this hack work so powerfully? Because it breaks all three chains we've talked about. The illusion of control, gone. You're no longer trying to control the market. You're controlling yourself. The fear, greed trap, defanged. Wins and losses don't control you anymore because you don't measure yourself by them. You measure yourself by execution. The attention game, rewired. You're no longer glued to every tick because your process tells you exactly what to wait for. Your attention is conserved, not scattered. It's like stepping out of a casino and into a laboratory. Inside the casino, everything is flashing, loud, designed to keep you hooked. In the laboratory, it's quiet, methodical, focused. Same tools, different environment. One is chaos, the other is process. But here's the catch. Detaching from outcomes doesn't mean ignoring them. It doesn't mean you don't care about profit and loss. Of course you do. You're a trader. The difference is where you place your identity. When you root your identity in outcomes, you're fragile. When you root it in process, you're anti-fragile. You can take losses and they don't break you. You can take wins and they don't inflate you. You stay balanced. There's another layer here too. Detaching from outcomes allows you to think in probabilities. Too many traders treat every trade like a lottery ticket. Win, they're euphoric. Lose, they're crushed. But real trading is a game of probabilities. Your edge plays out over dozens, even hundreds of trades. No single outcome matters. Only the process matters. Once you accept this, your emotional swings flatten. You stop living and dying by one candle. You start thinking like a professional. I want you to imagine this tomorrow. You sit at your desk. The bell rings. A setup appears. You take the trade. 5 minutes later, you're stopped out. In the past, you'd spiral. You'd feel frustration. You'd want to jump back in. But now, you look at your checklist. You followed every rule. You sized correctly. You respected your stop. That's a process win. You log it. You move on. No spiral, no drama, just execution. Do this enough times, and something amazing happens. You stop being reactive. You stop chasing. You stop doubting yourself. You start trading like a machine, calm, consistent, in control of the only things that truly matter. This is the hack Wall Street doesn't want you to discover. Because if every retail trader stopped attaching to outcomes, stopped chasing wins and fearing losses, stopped feeding the machine with emotional decisions, the game would change overnight. Retail traders would become far harder to exploit. The casino would lose its edge. That's why most traders never hear this. That's why the noise always points you back to outcomes. Daily profit goals, monthly targets, account milestones, all designed to keep you hooked. But you don't have to play that game anymore. You can flip it upside down. Detach from outcomes. Anchor to process. It's simple, it's counterintuitive, and it's the key, but knowing it isn't enough. You can't just hear these words and expect to wake up tomorrow a new trader. You need to live it, breathe it, practice it until it becomes second nature. And that's where the final step comes in, the application. How do you make this hack part of your daily life? We've uncovered the illusion of control. We've exposed the fear-greed trap. We've broken down the attention game. And we've revealed the hack itself. Detach from outcomes, anchor to process. But hearing it isn't enough. You can't just nod, close this video, and expect tomorrow to be different. If you want to change the way you trade, you need to apply this hack every single day until it becomes who you are. Application is where transformation happens. So let's talk about how to live this out in the real world. The first step is to redefine success. Most traders define success in terms of money. Did I make money today? Did my account grow this week? Did I hit my monthly target? That thinking is poison because it locks you into outcome obsession. From now on, success has a new definition. Did I follow my plan today? That's it. Not whether you won or lost, not whether you finished green or red, but whether you executed the process you committed to. Imagine ending the day down 2 trades, but knowing you followed your checklist perfectly. In the old mindset, you'd feel crushed. In the new mindset, you're proud. Because today was a process win, and process wins compound into consistent results. This shift alone will calm the emotional roller coaster and make you resilient. The second step is to build a process journal. This doesn't need to be fancy. Grab a notebook or a spreadsheet. At the top of each page, write your process rules. Risk defined, setup valid, entry confirmed, stop placed, position size correct, exit plan ready. Every time you take a trade, grade yourself on each rule, yes or no. Did you follow it? After the trade, log the results, but focus on the process score. Over time, this journal becomes your mirror. It shows you the truth about your discipline, not just your P&L. The third step is to create space between yourself and the market. Remember the attention game. The more time you spend glued to screens, the weaker you become. Decision fatigue drains you. So build boundaries. Decide when you'll trade and when you'll step away. No revenge trading after a loss. No staring at every tick. No checking P&L mid-trade. If you don't need to be watching, step away. Use alerts, not eyeballs. Conserve your energy so you're sharp when it matters. The fourth step is mental rehearsal. Before the market opens, take 5 minutes to visualize discipline. Picture yourself waiting patiently. Picture the setup forming. Picture yourself calm as the trade plays out. Picture yourself cutting at your stop without hesitation. Picture yourself taking profit at your target with no second guessing. This primes your brain to execute with discipline. Athletes rehearse mentally before they compete. Traders should too. The fifth step is identity. Stop saying, I hope I can be consistent. Start saying, I am the type of trader who follows process no matter what. That may feel small, but identity is powerful. When your identity shifts, your actions naturally align. If you see yourself as someone who always respects risk, then cutting a loss is just what you do. If you see yourself as someone who only takes high-quality setups, then skipping a marginal trade is natural. Anchor your identity to process, and consistency will follow. Let me give you an example of how this plays out. A trader named Maya struggled for years. She knew her setups. She knew her risk management rules. But every time she lost, she spiraled. She doubled down, chase, and blow weeks of profit in a single day. When she learned about process over outcome, she resisted. It felt unnatural, but she tried. She wrote a 5-rule checklist and graded herself after every trade. At first, her P&L didn't change much, but her emotions did. She no longer spiraled after losses. She started logging more green weeks, not because her strategy improved, but because she stuck to her process. Over 6 months, her account finally began trending upward. Maya didn't become a genius overnight. She became consistent because she changed what success meant. And here's the ripple effect. When you detach from outcomes and anchor to process, it doesn't just change your trading, it changes your life. In fitness, it means focusing on daily workouts, not just a number on the scale. In your career, it means focusing on skill building, not just promotions. In relationships, it means focusing on showing up daily, not just milestone moments. Everywhere you apply it, process beats outcome. Let's recap the 5 truths Wall Street doesn't want you to know. First, the illusion of control. You can't control the market, only yourself. Second, the fear-greed trap. Emotions are hardwired, but you can flip them into signals. Third, the attention game. The fall beat. The market profits from your focus, so you must conserve it. Fourth, the hack itself. Detach from outcomes, anchor to process. Fifth, the application. Journal. Redefine success, create space, rehearse, and anchor identity. Put these together, and you have the psychology hack that flips the game upside down. A hack that most traders will never discover because they're too busy chasing outcomes and staring at screens. But not you. You've seen it now. And once you've seen it, you can't unsee it. So here's your challenge. Tomorrow morning, don't try to win the day with money. Win it with process. Follow your checklist. Conserve your attention. Respect your risk. And log the result, whatever it may be. Do it again the next day and the next. Watch as the compounding effect builds. Slowly, your trading will change. Not in one giant leap, but in steady, disciplined steps. Remember this. Wall Street wins when you chase outcomes. You win when you master the process.